Hello, hello, hello. Happy Labor Day, y'all. And welcome to a Faith Purpose Profit Live, what I like to call FPP Live. Time I connect with you every Monday at 7 p.m. EST to connect all things with faith, purpose, and profit. Because if you're going to be the highest and best version of who God created you to be, you need all three at play. So I'm excited to be continuing with a series that I started 4 weeks ago. This is part four. This is part four in a series called Income with Impact. So there are principles that many people don't realize are in and around your purpose that you've got to get in alignment if you're going to go after all that God has for you. So before I go in, a couple things. You see the ladies out here. Hey, Katrina. Hey, Yolanda in Ohio. So as you come in, I want you to say hello, tell me where you're from. And if I say anything that resonates with you, if I'm stepping on your toes, I want to know. And if you have questions, listen, I'm going to try to do both. Look at this and teach. I have so much to give you. And this is part one of two. My goal is to be here 30 minutes. Might go over a little today. But let me tell you, today's Labor Day, a day when we celebrate our work. So why would I not be live on Labor to talk about your work? And not just your work, but how you live in alignment with God's assignment for you. So as you're coming in, tell me hello. As my grandmother would say, don't walk in this house and not speak. So you come into my virtual studio. So at least say hey. So again, this is part four in a seven-part series. The series is called Income with Impact. This episode is called BAM! The Substance of Business Success. And I said BAM like that. So let me tell you where I got that from. So when I was sitting, as I do every week, quiet contemplation, I think it was last Wednesday when God started dropping this stuff in my spirit. And literally, what came to me was something that Emerald Lagasse says. That those of you that don't know who Emerald is, first of all, I love cooking. So Emerald is a chef that I follow a lot. I haven't watched him in a while because I just haven't had time. And literally, his secret ingredient to everything he cooks is his bam, like, right? So he's cooking and he always goes, wait a minute, I got to put my seasoning in it. And the way he puts it in there, he goes, bam. So that's where I got that from. And literally, as I was writing out this one substance that so many of us take for granted, we overlook, we don't take time to grow it, we don't take time to see that it's not present, is a substance of not just business success, but you having the life that God intended for you to have. And that secret substance is faith. That really is the basis to everything I teach. And so I want to really dig in deeper in this conversation of faith. And as we do, when I have slides, those of you that are here live. So you hear me say this Bible verse a lot. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for, those of you that are here with me a lot, the evidence of things not seen. So again, this is called BAM, the substance of business success. So what do I mean by that? So the word substance means, and this is according to Merriam-Webster, I see more of you are joining. Hey, Chanel. Ultimate reality that underlies all outward manifestation and change. So substance is the ultimate reality that underlies all outward manifestation and change. Its essential nature, its essence, a fundamental or characteristic part or quality. So if faith is the substance of things hoped for, then again, it's the ultimate reality of that, all that underlies what happens outwardly. And I really need you to understand this because I think so many of us take this for granted. If it's the outward reality of what manifests, it's our ability to believe, even when, we're faced with so many things. But before we go into that, let me share with you a little clip. And as I saw this clip just yesterday, I was like, oh my God, this is exactly what I'm talking about. So let me share this. I'm gonna come on back and we're gonna break it down for you.
You got to have faith and fight. You got to pray and take your medicine. You got to talk in tongues and exercise. You got to pray and work out. You got to have faith and fight. For where God is getting ready to take you, that's why you're logged on this morning. You have got to have faith and fight. To survive, you got to have faith and fight. To keep your marriage, you got to have faith and fight. To keep your mind, you got to have faith and fight. To hold down what God has given you, you got to have faith and fight. And now you're getting ready to go into new territory that is yours, but you've never seen it. And you've got to have faith and fight like never before.
Oh, hold on, y'all. I'm missing the last little piece. What you need? Hold on. Let me try to play it because it's the most important part. Come on, thing. Okay, let me remove it and add it back in. I don't know why it's not
Because
playing it. Come on, y'all. Come on. Okay, this is the important part. Hold on. Let me try one more time, y'all. Really?
like never before, you got to pray and take your medicine. You got to talk in tongues and exercise. You got to pray and work out. You got to have faith and fight. For where God is getting ready to take you, that's why you're logged on this morning. You have got to have faith and fight. To survive, you got to have faith and fight. To keep your marriage, you got to have faith and fight. To keep your mind, you got to have faith and fight. To hold down what God has given you, you got to have faith and fight. And now you're getting ready to go into new territory that is yours, but you've never seen it. And you've got to have faith and fight like never before.
Okay, I don't know why it's not playing that last piece. So I'm going to put this in my Facebook group. Those of you that are not a part of my Facebook group, I'm inviting you to join thebridgetribe.com. I'll put the whole thing in the Facebook group, this little excerpt. Now listen, here's the last thing he says. The reason you've got to have faith and fight. So you got to fight to be you. So the very last thing TD Jakes says in this clip is because this is not that. And many of you guys hear me say one of my favorite quotes. I say it all the time. Here it is. The tools you use on this level are not sufficient for your next. The tools you use on this level are not sufficient for the next or for your next. And many of you, the reason why you haven't gotten to that level that God has for you is because you haven't activated your faith on the next level. So I came by to give you a faith check. Come on, somebody. Not a health check, a faith check. So as you know, in this series, Joseph is our example. We've been walking through his story. And the thing that I think is so interesting about Joseph is he shows us that faith is a verb. It's not a noun. It's not an adverb. It's a verb. You don't know, understand what that means? Go back to your elementary school books or Google it like I did. Because I was busy talking in my English class. So I'm not going to fake the funk like I remember everything because I didn't. But I need you to understand your faith doesn't get activated until you're in challenge, in struggle, in fear. So that's why it's a fight. So again, if Joseph is our example, and I need you to get this, I want to make sure I didn't miss any of the things that he went through. How did he stay true to his calling? Even in the face of being betrayed by his brothers, his own family, who sold him into slavery. First of all, they hated on him. They were going to try to kill him. Then one said, wait a minute, let's not kill him. Let's sell him. So how could he stay faithful to the vision, his purpose, in the face of being betrayed by his family, his brothers? Then in the face of being sent to prison for something he didn't even do. And then to be betrayed again in prison by the two men. If you guys remember this, it was the cupbearer and the chief baker, who he interpreted their dreams in prison, and they said, oh, we're going to remember you when we get out. And they got out and did not remember Joseph. It would be 3 more years. First of all, that whole time where he waited, it was 13 years. And some of you guys won't wait 13 days. You won't wait 13 months. There's a fight. It's not going to happen overnight. And there are many things that get activated in that fight because faith is a verb. It's you taking action, okay? So I want to walk you through the 3 elements to get to your bam, the substance of business success. It is faith. But I need you to see where you are and really activating your faith on a new level. In TD Jake's sermon, and it was yesterday, those of you that are here live, He talked about the fact that another pastor called him when he was moving from West Virginia to go to Dallas. He said to him, the faith you had in West Virginia is not going to work for Dallas. So the faith you have for your career is not going to work for you as you start your business. And even if you start your business, when it's time to grow your business, let me show you this quote one more time. One of my favorites: the tools you use on this level are not sufficient for the next. Because the tools you used for the level you were on, if you were here, when you get here, those tools don't work. Even your career, your master's degree, your PhD, your bachelor's degree is great. Listen, I had a master's degree and my business was still failing. I was teaching, I was an adjunct professor. I'd been an adjunct professor not at one, but two prestigious universities: USC for 4 or 5 years in California, for almost five, and then Boston University. And then I wanted to do work with Boston College and some other schools. I even did some work at MIT as overwhelmed and unqualified I felt when I walked in that room at MIT to do the series of workshops I did there. I'm saying that because the tools I use on this level didn't help me get there. There needs to be a whole new level of you, and to activate it, you need your bam. I'm gonna keep saying that because it just feels good to say it. So with that said, I want to walk you through these three. See, let me say this before I walk you through these three. God never promised you that life would be easy, but when He makes a promise, He intends to keep it. My question to you, and I'm gonna say this every episode, is: can you stand to be blessed? Will you trust God in the face of when it even doesn't look like it? Again, Hebrews 11:1 is, go back to this slide, y'all. What is it? The substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So I need you to understand it, to get it, to live it, to breathe it. So let me walk you through what BAM is, because I can go on and on. And I always want to encourage you to sit with what I share. So if you don't have a pen, I don't know why you're here. Listen to me without a pen. Let me take a sip of water and let you get a pen. Because my intention is not for what happens for you just during these episodes. I want you to sit in quiet contemplation to see where you have holes. Because if your life was perfect, you'd be dead and sitting next to Jesus. You're still here, so that means you have more work to do. So my question to you is, what work do you need to do? Okay. So here's the BAM. You ready for it? Ready to grow it? So the B of BAM is this: is believing when you can't see. Again, Hebrews 11:1 says, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Tony Evans says it like this: faith is the reality of what is hoped for, the proof of what is not seen. And do you realize that the Bible is a book of proof? You can call the Bible a book of proof. You can also look at anybody you greatly admire. If you go back and read their story and look at all that they went through, from Michelle Obama to Oprah, to Beyonce, to Tyler Perry, to Steve Harvey, to even Jeff Bezos, who started Amazon in his garage. Look at where Amazon is now. Believing when you can't see. Do you think he thought Amazon was going to get where it is now? Even Kentucky Fried Chicken, y'all. Do you realize that Kentucky Fried Chicken sold chicken at the gas station? And so, what I believe I would call this is unshakable faith. Because you've got to trust that God is who He says He is. Listen, God doesn't change His mind. He's not gonna go, oh yeah, I think I think I'm gonna ship things. No. It's like, when I was little, it makes me think of my uncle. When I was little, my favorite uncle used to come pick me up and take me out on dates. And he'd always be late, always. But I never once thought he wasn't coming to get me. So what he did was he helped me exercise my faith muscle. He helped me exercise my trust muscle. And if I could trust my uncle, who's nowhere near God, why would I not trust that God is coming and doing exactly what He said? And that's why I believe that in the face of every challenge, that Joseph had the confidence that this too shall pass. In the face of being betrayed, of people lying on him, of being thrown in jail, and then people betraying him in jail again. He didn't give up on God. He didn't give up on His gift. He didn't lose himself along the way. He kept believing what he could not see. And I need you guys to understand this. When fear takes over, it makes you doubt. And here's the thing. Here's another Bible verse here. I don't think I have this on a slide. I don't. So Hebrews 12:2. Listen, Hebrews 11, the whole chapter, and chapter 12. Good chapters for you to read. Matter of fact, Hebrews 11, the whole chapter is like the chapter of faith, and tells you all the people that trusted God. in the face of not seeing. First of all, when God told Noah it was going to rain for 40 days and 40 nights, and some people would say, well, that's not a true story. It's fairy tale, whatever, even if it is. The point of the story, whether you believe it happened the exact way it happened or it didn't, I believe it happened the exact way it happened, but everybody's different, is that Noah believed it was going to rain and it was sunny and dry outside. And people were probably walking by like, oh, it's about to rain. Oh, okay. Oh, you building a what? Even if I use Tyler Perry for an example, when his first, his second, his third, his fourth, his fifth play bombed. Can you imagine how much wherewithal he had to have in between that? Knowing like he knew that he was meant to be this entertainment mogul. He might not have called himself a mogul back then, but he knew he was meant to do that play. 5 times that play bombed. He started living in a car, losing all kind of money. But you was using charge cards and all kinds of stuff to pay for that play. See, we forget the fight people go through to get to their harvest. We see the glory, but we forget the story. And some of us don't even dig deep enough to understand there's a story before glory. There's test before testimony. There's a mess before a message. Matter of fact, you can't write mess unless you write message first. Or you can't write message unless you write mess first. You can't write testimony unless you write the word test first. So even when it doesn't look like it could ever happen, that's when God is doing his best work. That's what I've learned. And see, God takes his time. This is, by the way, why, if you haven't been joining us, I'm doing a series called My Rich Journey in my Facebook group. This will be week 3, but you can go back and watch the replays. Last week, I talked about seed, time, and harvest. God does his best work in the time period. It's not when he's planting a seed of purpose in you. Yeah, you're excited and you got this vision and I'm going to start a business and you're all excited. And then the time happens and it's not looking good. This is when people run because it's not happening the way you intended or it's taking too long. Or you're having to pour so much money into your business, but you only reap what you sow. Believe it when you can't see. Even if you think about the concept of seed, time, and harvest, when a seed is in the ground, it's underneath the dirt, y'all. It doesn't come out of that dirt unless you take the time to water it over and over and over and over and over again. Not overwater it either. That's why you got to have strategy. Okay. So going back to this Bible verse I'm supposed to be reading, Hebrews 12:2. This is what you got to do. Looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and has sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Again, look at Jesus, who is our example. He too had to go through some things to get to the place he was purposed to be. Again, God never promised it was going to be easy. He never promised that the road wouldn't hurt you, wouldn't be without challenge, it wouldn't be without people betraying you and all kind of things you've got to go through. But he always promises to give you abundantly above all if you trust him and believe in the middle of it. See, some of us want instant gratification. We're in a world where things happen instantly. We can text message each other instead of making a phone call so you don't have to wait. We can put our meals in the microwave. And let me tell you something. I say this all the time. Y'all hear me say this. Those of you that come here week after week. If I come up your house Thanksgiving and your turkeys come out of your microwave, trust I'm leaving. I'm not eating that turkey. Yuck. Unless you warming it up because you cooked it the day before. But if you're cooking your turkey in the microwave, a turkey is not meant to be. There's no such thing as an instant turkey on Thanksgiving. This is already cooked. Okay. So it took time for God to prepare Joseph. He got mature, his character grew, he learned the language. Listen, if you really think about it, Joseph was not from Egypt, y'all. So when God moved him from his land into a land he didn't know, it's like if he moved you to another country and you didn't know the language, it would take time for you to learn that language. So all that time, God was using that to set the stage for him. He was learning the culture in Egypt. He's learning the language. I look at all the situations God put me through. The fact that I started a faith-based program for African American teenage girls. It wasn't in one church. It was in 10 throughout the country. It's how I really began to learn how to work in churches. Even my career before that, I worked in the entertainment industry, producing and casting. What do I do now? I produce programs with my clients. I teach you how to produce and I put you in the right role in your business. Well, I coach you to do that. Doing the same thing I did in entertainment. Then I worked in churches, so I understand faith-based in a way that most people don't because I worked in multiple churches. And do you not see how God is bringing that all around full circle? The number of churches that call me to do programs, the fact that I can work a corporate and church and entrepreneurial and produce all three, all things work together. Not some things, not a few things, all things. So here's my question I want you to really think about before I walk into number two. I really want you to think about this. Is God trustworthy? If God is asking you to believe in what you can't see, can you trust God? I think so many times we get caught up on trusting but only what we can do. And so we try to do things in our own strength because that is what we know instead of trusting a God that we cannot see. And God does his best work when we don't see what he's doing. So with that, let me move into number two because I'll keep going, y'all. Number two, when we look at bam, the A of BAM is you got to stay alert because you have the attention of the enemy. So it's like A squared. You got to stay alert because you have the attention. Listen, when you were doing something mighty and powerful for God, you got to stay alert because guess what? The enemy sees you. The enemy sees the work you're doing and he doesn't want it. So you've got to stay alert to it. He's going to use, and we talked about this, I think it was in episode 2, that your emotions plus your reaction and your outcome, oh, the enemy is going to mess with your emotion. And if Joseph is an example of that, first his brothers, then he gets sold in slavery, he becomes head of Potiphar, the head of the army's house. And then Potiphar's wife lies. He befriends two people in jail, and then they betray him too. You think that Joseph would have lost his mind and started going off on people and started just causing all kind of havoc in the jail, but he didn't. He stopped looking at man. He trusted God. He stopped looking at flesh. He trusted God. He stopped looking at all the things he could see and had to say. And I've had to say this so many times in my own life, Lord, I don't know what you're doing, but I trust you. I have no idea what you're about to bring out of this. I can't wait to see what you're about to do. Even when I don't feel it, I say it. Sometimes I have to say it to myself over and over again. I don't know what you're doing, but I know it's going to work together for my good. I don't know what you're doing, but I'm thanking you for all the work I can't see that will manifest in all that I will see. You know, there's a saying called fake it till you make it. Don't like that saying. I say believe it till you see it or be it until you see it. So you got to start standing in it. And when you do that, the enemy is going to try to push you off track, to throw you off track. There's a Bible verse, Ephesians 6:10-15. I'm reading all of this because it's good and I think it needs to be read here. Again, it's Ephesians 6:10-15. Finally, my brethren, and because I have mostly women here, I'm saying my sisters, be strong in the Lord and the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in the heavenly places. Therefore, take up the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all to stand, stand therefore. Having girded your waist with truth, having put on the breastplate of righteousness, and having shod your feet with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, taking the shield of faith, with which you will be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked one. Now, that's a loaded verse. But I encourage you to go read it. And what I do when I read stuff like that is I pull it apart. I appreciate you, Addison. Absolutely. Be it until you see it. Because sometimes manifesting is because you are doing the thing that you know you're meant to do or be. Listen, I started acting like a CEO when I was still 23, working for somebody else. And now, almost 30 years later, dang, how old am I? Yeah. I'm amazed at how all of that God showed me at 23 is just manifesting for me. Because I had a whole lot of maturing to do, a whole lot of growing to do. But I see how God used every place that he put me strategically to prepare me for such a time as this. The same way I know God has done that for you, because that's how God works. He doesn't do stuff for me. See, this Bible verse, by the way, Ephesians 6:10-15, was Paul wrote this. He wanted to emphasize our struggles are not rooted in what we can see. It's not even rooted in you getting emotional. That emotion is triggered by something else. That something else is the enemy using it to throw you off. So when people do things to you and people say things to you, understand that God will still use you. There's no need to be embarrassed. There's no need to feel guilty. There's no need to worry about anybody else thinks or has to say. What does God say about you? So the enemy will try to shut your mouth and make you feel embarrassed or ashamed so you won't speak up. He'll make you worry about what your family's going to say because maybe they were involved in it. Listen, I remember the first time I ever talked about my father was abusive. The first time my mother decided to come that day. Do you think I didn't talk about it? Now I was scared. I know what she was going to say. Oh, when she was my roommate at that conference, I said, oh, mommy, come up and stay with me and let's hang out. Oh, Lord Jesus. And I had been inviting her for months. Oh, she decided to come today. I'm going to tell the story. And I told it because it's my story to tell. And I wasn't telling it. It wasn't about her. It was about all the people in that room that I could bless because I was willing to be transparent. And it's really interesting that my mother would come that day. Now, my mother's not evil. I'm not saying that. But the enemy knows what to do and how to throw you off track. And he'll use every weapon to do that. And what you've got to do is, again, be alert because you have his attention. James 4:7 says, submit yourself therefore to God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. See, God fights for you, but you've got to allow him to fight. You've got to allow him to fight for you. And understand that God is greater than anything you're going through, that he's in control. You know, I love the thing that Joseph says to his brothers after all he had been through. Now, mind you, God gave him a vision at the beginning of the story. This brother had to go to become a slave. He then went to, he got sold into slavery, then went to jail. Then he got betrayed in jail and stayed in, so it was a 13-year stint of challenge over challenge. Oh, by the way, when he went to jail, it was based on a lie. Through all of that, Joseph's vision still comes to fruition. I need you guys to get this. I'm getting ready to wrap. And what does Joseph say to his brothers when his brothers come back to him? Oh, he's not evil. He's not bitter. He says to them, this is, where is it? This is Genesis 50:20. He says, but as for you, you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good in order to bring it about as it is this day to save many people, to save many people's lives. So you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good. So instead of getting mad when people act a fool, I'm like, okay, Lord, what you going to do with this? I can't wait to see what happens. So here's my question to you for this second step. Here's my question to you. What if you stop telling God how big your problem is and instead you start to tell your problem how big your God is? What if you stop telling God how much money you had in your bank account and you sort of saying to your bank account, do you know who God is? Do I need to keep going on? Because you can assert so many things, but we allow situations and circumstances around us to stop us instead of us realizing who God is and not letting the enemy use our emotion or a place that we might feel like we're in deficit. Well, we're never in deficit. Never. So as we close this, and yes, I'm going to give you the third step. I'm going to give you the third step in part two. Before I start to talk to you about part two, I want to walk you through a little assessment. So I want you to look at where your faith level is or your level of faith is. And I want you to be honest with yourself as I walk you through these four. And then in part two, we'll peel back more. So this is your homework to really look at this and give yourself some time to be honest. Because wherever your level of faith is where God, listen, I say this all the time, God is going to let you live on whatever level you settle for. So let's get clear on where your faith level is, because if it's the substance of business success, your business is going to be right where your faith is. Mhm. So level one is, are you serving a small God? See, are you settling for good enough? You don't do extra. You won't take the risk. So you work week after week a job that you hate because you're scared to do the thing that God has called you to do. And you say things like, this is just who I am. The second level is, are you serving a God of struggle? Struggle means you're in survival mode. You have started your business, but you do just enough so you can say you do things. Or you keep shifting it with the wind. Or you only do what you can see your bank account, what you can see is available in your bank account. Listen, Every time I get to a great place in my business, it's always bigger than my bank account. Listen, I used to have 5-figure problems. Now I got 6-figure problems. Soon I'm gonna have 7-figure problems. I'm like, bring them on. Because if I'm having a 7-figure problem, that means I have to have a 7-figure budget to have it. Come on, somebody. If I got $1 million problems, means I got $1 million budget to handle that $1 million problem. Because God is bigger than the problem. But when you stay in struggle, you live in this is just how it is, and you settle for it. You don't rise above it. You don't do the work to push past it. This is you living inside your comfort zone. Level 3 is success. See, you've reached your goal. Maybe you have established a career you always dreamed of. This was me. I had my bachelor's degree. I was working on the hottest TV show on Fox. Hottest. One that everybody watches in reruns. Hint, the cast just had a reunion, but I'm not going to say the name of the show. My point is this: I loved my job when God called me to do something different. I was successful. I had every box checked as if I wasn't married yet, but I had every single box checked, making way more money than I should have in my 20s. And so when I have one pair of shoes that I bought in my 20s, they were $500. I was like, and I still have them, and I still wear them. That's how much I could do because I was big baller shot caller. However, God had more for me. So sometimes we get to a level of success and your career is no longer big enough for your gift. Again, many of you feel guilty for wanting more because how dare can I want more when I've had everything I've ever wanted? But God is always looking to expand your territory. And then level 3 is, are you serving a significant God? See, a God that is really helping you create a legacy, one that will have a lasting impact far past your life span. When you look at somebody like Joseph, we used to talking about Joseph centuries later, Jesus centuries later, Noah centuries later, Abraham centuries later. Are y'all getting my point? They had significance because they were mothers and fathers of faith. My favorite girl, Esther, and even Ruth, that I talked about last week in my rich journey, the 4-part series I'm walking you guys through. All of them exercise their faith, even in the face of fear, even in the face of going through struggle and challenge and turmoil and hurt and pain and fear. And so you've got to be really clear is where you're serving. Are you serving God, a small God? Are you serving in struggle? Are you serving in success because you're selling for your resume and bio, which is done and complete? When God has so much more for you, that's why Anthony says legacy. When you've got to go after your significance. So as I wrap this, I want to, number one, invite you all. Many of you know that I'm doing this free training called My Rich Journey. We are in week 3, which is this Thursday. If you've missed week 1 and week 2, go into my Facebook group. You see, those of you that are here live, it's there on the screen, thebridgetribe.com. Go in the Facebook group and join me. Now, I'll be honest with you. I'm going to continue in this conversation, both in this as well as, well, first I'm going to do it tomorrow morning. So tomorrow morning, those of you that will join me, we go deeper in Clubhouse. We go deeper in Clubhouse tomorrow morning. That is fppbreakfast.com. That's part 2. So I'm going to walk you through the third step. I'll walk you through the first 2. I'll walk you through number 3 in the morning. But even in my rich journey, that what I'm going to teach you there goes with what I'm teaching you here. I need you guys to get everything I'm teaching you, both in the FPP Live and Clubhouse and in my rich journey, all go together. Because there are 5 shifts needed if you're going to be consistent. So there's a substance to your success, and then there's a level of consistency you need. So you need part 1 and part 2. Part 2, again, is tomorrow morning, fppbreakfast.com, 8:30 a.m. EST. And then you need also the My Rich Journey sequence, which is in the bridgetribe.com, 1 p.m. on Thursday. And again, if you missed part 1 or part 2, is there. Going to the top, I left in the announcement section. By the way, I have a yummy gift for y'all this week. Because this substance is going to make the difference for you. You really getting clear and growing in your faith is what's going to make the difference for you. Of course, you need strategy too. I'm going to walk you through that, but you need both. And for those of you that know, like you know, you need strategy. I tell you, I'm going to invite you every episode until we're sold out. At the end of this month, I do a 2-day coaching intensive called Be the Answer, where I get to coach you and teach you in the 4 areas you need to have strategy in your business to be fruitful and multiply, to have seed time and harvest. I'm going to walk you through all the time it takes to get to the harvest and the correct strategy to grow the seed. Because listen, we have plants outside that we just planted that died because we were watering it wrong because the man didn't give us strategy. Now we had a strategy. You see my husband out there watering the plant like he was told exactly the way he was told to do it because he's determined not to kill it. So I'm going to show you a quick commercial that talks to you about Be the Answer, and then I'll come back and wrap up this episode. All right, here we go. All right, so maybe nothing's working today. All right, so my little technology wants to act crazy today. All right, so I guess I won't be playing that commercial for you. Those of you that know, like, you know what time, I'll pop the commercial in the Facebook group. It's really more, see, I talked to you about what makes Be the Answer different in this particular series. And the reason I wanted to share this with you is because, let me just say this. Be the Answer is not a conference where a bunch of speakers are coming to speak to you. I keep the room intimate, 30 people or so in those 2 days, so I can really coach you. This is everything I knew I needed when my business was absolutely failing. I realized that God allowed me to fail for a couple of reasons. One, so I'll be passionate that you don't. And number two, everything I do in my business is because I'm so passionate about where I was and I had no idea where to go. And for many of you, you've been in a place in your business where you have reached a level that you're ready to move to the next. Maybe you've been at level 1. You've been there for years, or maybe you're in level 2, or maybe you're in level 3, wherever you are. In order to get you to number 4, there is strategy. And that's exactly what I walk you through and Be the Answer. So again, the event is September 30th and October 1st. You join me from home. There's some bonuses, one of which you start right when you enroll. So you'll see all of it on the page. BeTheAnswerIntensive.com is where you go. Because I really want you to be clear and get in alignment where God wants you to be. That's why everything I do is laced in 3 things: faith, purpose, and profit. You need all 3. If you're going to ultimately gain for God, because profit means gain. So it's not about the car you drive and the purse you have, and all of that is great. I'm not saying you can't bless yourself because you worked really hard, but that's not why you do it. You do it because there are people that need you, that God put you on this earth to serve. And as you gain for them, you're actually gaining for God. So as I gain for you, I'm doing the work God has called me to do. So those of you that are ready for me to coach you and teach you for those 2 days, then I look forward to serving you at Be the Answer. Again, BeTheAnswerIntensive.com is where you go to learn more and register. So with that said, that is it for part 1. Again, I look forward to all of you joining me in the morning. As I do every Tuesday morning, I do part 2. And I do that because I really want you to give some thought to where are you in those 4 areas. And then the thing I love about Clubhouse is you can actually ask me questions. So bring your questions where, if you aren't sure where you are, if you've been stuck in one of those areas for so long, you don't know how the heck to get out. I'm never there to sell you because I know that Be the Answer is not a good fit for everybody. Shoot, I only have 30 seats anyway, so everybody can't come. But whatever coach it is, whether it's me or someone else, I need you to get clear on what you need next so you can go and get it. All right? And I need you to be honest with yourself, because if you're not, you'll be stuck where you are right now another year. And you can't afford that. God can't afford that. The world can't afford that because there are people looking for you that need you. All right? So with that, that's part 1 of BAM! The substance of business success. I look forward to pouring more into you in the morning. Again, FPPbreakfast.com is where you go for part 2. So with that, thank you. I don't take you guys joining me lightly. I'm excited that I see more of you here because it's on Monday. That's why I did it, decided to do it anyway on Labor Day. So with that said, have a good rest of your night and I'll see you in the morning. All right, for part 2. Bye, y'all.